What if I told you that you're surrounded by more information than any human being in all of history, and yet you understand the world worse than your grandfather did? Sounds like an insult, I know. But before you close this video offended, do me a favor. Try to remember the last long article you read all the way through. Not a headline, not a thread, a real text, the kind that demands half an hour of your life. Struggling to remember? Then stay, because what I'm about to tell you isn't about society. It's about you. There's a paradox floating over our era, and almost nobody wants to look at it head-on. You carry in your pocket a device with access to every library on the planet, to every scientific discovery, to all the works of the greatest geniuses who ever walked the earth. Any medieval peasant would have killed for a single day with that tool. And you, what do you use it for? Be honest. 15-second videos, arguments with strangers, content you'll forget before dinner. We've never had so much knowledge available, and we've never been so incapable of turning it into anything resembling wisdom. We're not suffering from an information crisis. We're suffering from an interpretation crisis. And that difference, which sounds like the nuance of some boring philosopher, is exactly the crack through which your ability to think is escaping. Friedrich Nietzsche wrote a sentence that should be engraved on the home screen of every phone. Madness is the exception in individuals, but the rule in groups, parties, peoples, and ages. Read it slowly. The rule, not the accident, not the anomaly. The rule. Nietzsche died in 1900, long before a single algorithm existed, and yet he diagnosed with surgical precision what you're watching every day on your screen. Entire crowds, swept up by the outrage of the moment. Opinions spreading faster than any virus. Millions of people repeating the same phrase with the absolute certainty of having thought it themselves. And here comes the first uncomfortable question of this video. How many of your opinions are truly yours? Don't answer quickly. Think about it. How many were born from reading, comparing, doubting, and concluding? And how many did you simply absorb from your surroundings, the way one breathes in the smoke of a bar? To understand why this happens, you need to meet the two inhabitants living inside your skull. The psychologist Daniel Kahneman, a Nobel Prize winner, described them better than anyone. The first one is fast, automatic, emotional. It reacts before you even notice. It's the one that jumps when you read an outrageous headline, the one that decides in half a second whether you like someone, the one that shares the news story without opening it. The second one is slow, analytical, demanding. It's the one that solves a difficult problem, the one that spots the flaw in an argument, the one that builds independent judgment. And here's the problem. Slow thinking consumes an enormous amount of energy, and your brain, which evolved in scarcity, hates spending energy. So whenever it can, it delegates to the fast one, always. Your mind prefers a simple, false explanation over a complex true one. It prefers confirming what it already believes over examining it. It prefers the shortcut over the road. And now imagine what happens when someone builds an entire environment designed to feed exclusively the fast thinker and starve the slow one to death. You don't need to imagine it, you live in it. Because the platforms you use every day were not designed to inform you, they were designed to retain you. Those are different things, almost opposites. And what retains a human brain? The fast, the emotional, the controversial, the oversimplified. A nuanced 20-minute analysis cannot compete against a 15-second video with dramatic music and a scandalous claim. The lie travels by private jet, while the truth waits in line at the airport. And the result is an ecosystem where depth is punished with invisibility and shallowness is rewarded with millions of views. It's not that intelligent people have disappeared, it's that the playing field is tilted against them. But wait, because we haven't reached the unsettling part yet. Up to now, you might think all of this is an unfortunate accident, a side effect of progress. Let me offer you another possibility. What if a distracted society weren't a flaw in the system, but a feature of the system? Think about it coldly. What does any power structure, political or economic, need in order to function without resistance? It needs you not to look in the same direction for too long. The Roman emperors called it bread and circuses. Keep the people fed and entertained, and they will never ask dangerous questions. 2,000 years later, the bread is food delivered to your door, and the circus fits in the palm of your hand, switched on 18 hours a day. Modern control doesn't need censorship or police in the streets. It's far more refined than that. It works by dominating your attention, manufacturing artificial controversies, so you burn your energy hating the opposite side, dividing the population into tribes that watch each other while nobody watches upward. The thinker Neil Postman warned about this decades ago, with a chilling idea. We feared a future where books would be banned, and instead, we got a future where nobody wants to read them. We feared the truth would be hidden from us, and instead, it was buried under an ocean of irrelevance. There's no need to burn books if you can get people to lose interest in them. Plato, 2,400 years ago, told a story that today reads as if it were written this morning. Imagine prisoners chained inside a cave since birth, staring at a wall where shadows are projected. Since it's all they've ever seen, they believe those shadows are reality. One of them escapes, steps outside, discovers the sun, the colors, the true world. And when he comes back to tell the others, do you know what his companions do? They laugh at him. They call him crazy. They prefer their shadows. Now replace the cave with a dark room, the chains with a phone charger, and the shadows with a screen glowing 30 centimeters from your face. And tell me whether the metaphor needs any updating. The most disturbing part of the allegory isn't the cave. It's that the prisoners defend their chains. Just like people defend the algorithm, the infinite scroll, the comfort of letting others think for them. And speaking of comfort, Nietzsche has another poisoned gift for our era. In Thus Spoke Zarathustra, he describes a creature he considered the greatest danger to humanity. It wasn't a tyrant. It wasn't a monster. It was the last man, a being who no longer aspires to anything, who doesn't create, who doesn't take risks, who only seeks to be comfortable and entertained, who wants his little pleasure for the day and his little pleasure for the night. And Nietzsche puts in his mouth a sentence that sends chills down the spine. We have invented happiness, say the last men, and they blink. That blink is everything. It's the empty gaze of someone who has spent 4 hours sliding a finger across a screen. He also wrote about that uniform crowd. No shepherd in one herd. Everyone wants the same. Everyone is the same. And whoever feels differently walks voluntarily into the madhouse. Everyone consuming the same things, holding the same opinions, laughing at the same jokes, convinced they're free, precisely because nobody is forcing them. That's the genius of the system. It doesn't chain you, it seduces you until the chains look like jewelry. And where does a human being like that come from? Partly from the classroom. Think about how you were educated. Were you taught to formulate questions or to memorize answers? Were you rewarded for doubting or for repeating? How many exams did you pass by regurgitating data you forgot a week later? The philosopher John Dewey argued that education is not preparation for life, but life itself, and that its mission should be to form minds capable of analyzing, connecting, creating, and questioning. Instead, a good part of the educational system produces something more modest: people who are experts at passing tests. People trained to give the right answer, not to wonder whether the question was the right one. And a population that never learned to examine arguments is a population that will applaud any well-packaged speech, vote for whoever shouts the loudest, and buy whatever gets repeated to them enough times. Michel Foucault explained it bluntly. The most effective power is not the one that forbids, but the one that shapes, the one that manufactures your desires, your norms, your idea of what is normal, until you obey believing you are choosing. Now I want us to do something uncomfortable. Up to this point, you've been agreeing with me, right? You've been thinking about your brother-in-law, about those people in the comment sections, about the ones who watch trash TV. Diagnosing other people's stupidity is a delicious pleasure. But Nietzsche, him again, left a warning for this exact moment. Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process, he does not become a monster. And when you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you. This video isn't about the herd, it's about you. How many hours of screen time does your phone show this week? When was the last time you changed your mind about something important because someone gave you a good argument? When did you last read something written by someone you disagree with? Not to tear it apart, but to understand it. The silence that just fell inside your head is the answer. Carl Jung called it facing the shadow. The hardest work in the world is not pointing out other people's darkness, it's recognizing your own. We all carry inside us a member of the herd, an intellectual sloth, a confirmation addict. The one who denies it is precisely the one most dominated by it. The consequences of all this are no longer theory. Look at them. In politics, debates have turned into spectacles, where the winner is not whoever is right, but whoever generates the best viral clip, and democracies wobble because it's impossible to govern a population living in parallel realities manufactured by different algorithms. In culture, we've confused fame with knowledge. A person with millions of followers holds forth on virology, economics, and geopolitics before audiences who will never listen to a real expert, because the expert is boring and the celebrity entertains. Socially, we're increasingly isolated, fragmented, incapable of collaborating with those who think differently, locked inside digital tribes that mistake belonging for thinking. And personally, the quietest and gravest consequence of all, you are losing sovereignty over your own mind. Your attention decided by an algorithm, your emotions stirred by headlines, your opinions manufactured somewhere that isn't you. What remains of a person when you take away control of what they pay attention to? A consumer remains, a profile, a data point. But if you've made it this far, and notice that you've now spent a good while concentrating on a single thing, something most people can no longer manage, you deserve the other half of the story. There is a way out. Intellectual decline is not a destiny, it's a current, and you can swim against a current. I propose 6 acts of resistance. These are not productivity tips. They are, quite literally, the difference between being the owner of your mind or its tenant. First, reclaim your attention. It's your most valuable resource, which is why the richest companies in history are dedicated to extracting it. Stop consuming whatever gets thrown at you and start deciding what enters your head with the same care you use to decide what enters your mouth. Every morning, before opening any app, ask yourself, what do I want to seek out today? Seek, not receive. The difference between those two words is the difference between a reader and a herd. Second, practice slow thinking. Read long things. Write down what you think, because writing is the acid test of thought. You discover you didn't understand something precisely when you try to explain it. And when something outrages you on the internet, apply the 24-hour rule. Don't react today. If it still seems important tomorrow, respond. You'll discover that 90% of your outrages don't survive a night's sleep, which tells you who was doing the opining. The fast thinker, not you. Third, embrace complexity. Systematically distrust any explanation that fits in a single sentence. Reality is tangled, contradictory, uncomfortable. When someone offers you a single culprit and a simple solution for an enormous problem, they're not informing you, they're recruiting you. The phrase, "We are the good guys and they are the bad guys," is the uniform propaganda wears to go unnoticed. Fourth, surround yourself with people who contradict you. Seek out conversations with people who dismantle your ideas with elegance. It hurts, of course it hurts. But an idea that has never been struck is not a conviction, it's a decoration. And remember what Nietzsche wrote in Human, all too human. Convictions are more dangerous enemies of truth than lies. The lie at least knows it's lying. Blind conviction doesn't even know that. Fifth, recover historical memory. A society without memory is an eternal child who can be told any story. Almost nothing happening now is new. Propaganda techniques, opinion bubbles, demagogues, bread and circuses, all of it has centuries of documented history. Whoever knows the past recognizes the trick before the show is over. Whoever ignores it applauds. And sixth, the hardest of all, reclaim silence. Kierkegaard wrote that if he were a doctor and were asked for a remedy for the world's ills, he would answer one thing only: create silence. Because in permanent noise, you cannot hear the only voice that matters, your own. Give yourself a stretch of time every day with absolutely nothing. No screen, no music, no podcast, no company. At first, it will be unbearable, I guarantee it. Silence is uncomfortable, because in it appear the questions you've spent years dodging with stimuli. But precisely those questions are the door. On the other side of boredom, your own mind is waiting for you. That stranger. I'm wrapping up, and I want to do it with a confession about the title of this video. I asked you why society is becoming more and more stupid, but it was a small trap, because society doesn't exist as something separate from us. Society is you. It's me. It's every person who decides, day after day, whether to feed the fast thinker or the slow one, whether to defend their chains or leave the cave, whether to blink contentedly like the last man, or endure the discomfort of thinking for themselves. Collective stupidity only triumphs when individual wisdom surrenders, and surrender doesn't arrive with a big dramatic decision. It arrives in silence, one scroll at a time, one unopened headline at a time, one borrowed opinion at a time. But resistance works exactly the same way. One book at a time, one question at a time, one stretch of silence at a time. So today's choice is small and enormous at the same time. When this video ends, the algorithm will put another one in front of you, shinier, louder, easier. And you will decide. You can click and return to the current, nobody will blame you, almost everyone will do it. Or you can turn off the screen, sit for a minute with everything you've just heard, and ask yourself the only question no algorithm can answer for you. Of everything I think I know, how much have I truly thought through myself? There's no rush. The cave will still be there tomorrow. The way out, too. The only thing that doesn't wait forever is your ability to tell one from the other. If you made it to the end of this video, comment, "I matter," and I'll personally reply to you myself. And if this resonated with you, subscribe to become part of this, and hit like if you enjoyed it.